Okay, everybody, so great to be back. We are actually at the apex of this Torah. If anybody doesn't know what an apex is, we're at the highest part. But before we do that, we're going to say Likutey Nishmat. This is for Racheli Chaya bat Yehudit, sorry, and a refuah shlema for Esther bat Sarah, and for all the Jewish people. Markiel Ben Oim Tov. That's a refuah shlema or Likutey Nishmat. Likutey Nishmat. And for everybody, mamish, everyone here, we all need mamish Yeshua, we need refuah, we need dad, we need clarity, we need amuna, shlema, we need amuna and tzaddikim, we need so much.
I still don't know how to get that.
They're married.
So wait till we get there. So everybody listen to this, and then we're gonna make a bomb announcement. So everybody get your big boy pants on, okay? Because I know Benjamin over here. I'm okay. You can get coffee at nice tea. Blow me up. Okay. Listen to what he says. We've learned thus far an unbelievable thing. That the way to nullify depression, the way to nullify anxiety, the way to nullify lack of energy, the way to nullify desires for the physical world, which move beyond something that's healthy for me or something that's beneficial for me, whether it's in the area of sexuality, whether it's in the area of eating, whether it's in the area of whatever, any type you have, any desire you have. All of these are nullified by seeing the face of a real tzaddik, which we learned in essence is to learn his wisdom. The more that you learn the wisdom of real tzaddik, the more you're considered seeing his face, and the greater power you have to nullify these levels. Then you have higher levels, which on paper might seem like lower levels because they don't seem as hard as those things, but that's just because you haven't knocked off those first ones yet. But when you knock off those first ones, then the higher ones are going to come out even more. And those are speech, negative speech, lashon hara, cursing, speaking about things that have no inherent value, flattery, speaking in a way and trying to manipulate in order to get your will accomplished. And then you have the higher levels, the highest levels, which have to do with midaber, the human being, which are those of anger, jealousy, and ego. And those are all nullified with another uncurious way, by giving tzedakah to that same tzaddik. So you give tzedakah to that same tzaddik that you see his face, and by doing this enough on both of these levels, you're able, Rabbi Nachman says, to nullify all of these difficulties. But now we have the big kicker, which is the one I think everybody since birth has been trying to figure out, and especially our generation, that we feel more lost and confused than ever. And I think the one thing probably you'd like to know more than anything, or at least for me, for sure, what is my road in life? What am I here to do personally? I could mamish be holding, obviously it's a miracle, but if you're holding by all these levels, but still I don't know what my purpose is in life, my personal purpose. So to some extent, you always feel lost. The greatest thing in the world, even more than these things, even though it all comes together, is to know what is the root of your soul and what is your tafkid in life, what is your purpose in life. And Rabbi Nachman says something unbelievable, something based on something the Baal Shem Tov used to give over as well, that comes down from the Zohar. And that is that it's impossible for a Jew to know the root of his soul and therefore to be able to pursue it for the rest of his life without first doing vidui devarim to Hashem in front of that real tzaddik. this was the main impetus, or one of the main impetuses for us trying so hard to get to Uman for Rosh Hashanah, was that we should be able to Makayim this Torah that we've been learning for so many months, that all of us have been seeing the face almost every day. All of us have giving tzedakah in some way or another, whether it's me through teaching, or Benny through getting guys to the class, or you guys through giving money. But all of us have been trying everything we can on all these levels. And the last step is to see the face of the tzaddik. Now the question is why? This section we're going to do right now might be the ikar of the whole concept of the tzaddik emet, and to show you why Rabbi Nachman spends so much time constantly speaking about this concept of the tzaddik emet, the true tzaddik. And it'll become very clear to you about why he is fundamentally important to you, why Rabbi Nachman says there's nothing more important in a Jew's life than to be able to find this person and to connect to him, and why Rabbi Nachman is constantly speaking about attaching yourself to this tzaddik. This, even amongst Hasidus, the way he speaks about it is more prevalent than anywhere that you'll see it. Almost every new student that comes to the class, the first question they ask me at the end of their first class is, how do I know who that tzaddik is? And how do I attach to him? Almost every single person, whether he's Sephardic, whether he's Ashkenazi, whether he's a convert, whether he's a Baal Tshuva, whether he's religious from birth, everybody asks me, how do we know? Okay, so now it is time to finally, after all these years, get to the bottom of this. You ready, Daniel? You got your big boy pants on? Ready to fight?
You're playing with the big boys now.
וזה בכל פעם שבא אצל תלמיד חכם ומספר לפניו כל ליבו. This concept of finding your personal derech in your life, your purpose in your life, your path in life, which is only possible through nullifying all of these four levels of negativity which block you from feeling close to Hashem. Does everybody remember? I'm not going to say them again. We know all those four levels. We've discussed them many times. Your ability to be able to have the root of your soul revealed is dependent on the nullification of all negativity inside of you, which sounds like an incredibly difficult task, and maybe even something that sounds not realistic. But now Rabbi Nachman says you have the ability to do that through these means, and then you have the final kicker at the end if you're able to have the zchut to do so. And that is that you now do vidui devarim, you do tshuva to Hashem in front of that tzaddik. And he says that whenever you're in front of a real Talmid Chacham, which he's really speaking about this real tzaddik, what should you be doing? Umasaper lefanav kol libo. You should be speaking out before him everything that's in your heart. When Rabbi Nachman's students came to him, they didn't just say, hey, I have a Shalom Bayit issue. Hey, I have a Parnasa issue. They used to come to him and mamash say every single thing that's in their heart.
How are you able to concentrate though?
You want to give me a class, right?
What?
You're giving
Yeah. You want to come join?
Yes. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, of course. Come sit down.
Okay, let me.
How are you able to concentrate?
No questions yet. No questions yet. No questions.
Because like you stutter all the time. You should be studying. You just forget everything.
David.
But we're not doing questions now, guys. We're not doing
not
no statements, no questions, no nothing. Don't be fooled by everybody else. I said no to everybody. Everybody just keeps talking. Everybody have to hold it in. But Talmid Chacham, hu bechinat Moshe. And now we're getting to the ikar of it. What is it about the Talmid Chacham that's so precious that I do tshuva to Hashem in front of him, meaning I pour everything out of my heart? Everything that has been built up inside of me, which I've kept in my closet my whole life, which we now give to therapists. And then not only does it not help us, that person also needs therapy after. Is there a person I can actually tell all of my deepest, darkest secrets to, and it's beneficial for me, it's beneficial for him? There's one person. His name is Moshe. He is the Talmid Chacham. Why? Shehu bechinat ayin, because Moshe is the concept of nothingness. Listen to what we're saying. We're going to go down into very, very deep Kabbalah. I'm going to try to make it as simple as possible. Please try to follow me. No questions. Just listen. I will do my best to explain. Who is the one who gave us the whole Torah? Right. Hashem gave it to who?
He gave it to
Moshe.
Moshe.
Why did he give it to Moshe? Why, when the Torah comes out, we say, this is the Torah from Moshe? Why in the 13 Ikarim of faith that we say that Moshe's Nevuah is the greatest Nevuah that ever was, and it always will be? I even heard once in Chassidus, they explain that even when Mashiach comes, his Nevuah is not going to be more clear than Moshe Rabbeinu's. Mamish clear. What is it about Moshe that was different, that set him apart from Avraham Avinu, Yaakov Avinu, Yosef Atzadik, all of these great individuals who came before, and even David HaMelech after him, Rabbi Akiva after him? Why Moshe Rabbeinu brings down the Torah? Because he attained a state that's called ayin, nothingness. There's a pasuk, which is a very important pasuk in Kabbalah, and that pasuk goes like this: B'hachochma me'ayin timatzeh. Chochma, from nothingness, it comes. Chochma comes from nothingness, comes from ayin. So I want to show you, just very quickly, we're not going to get very deep into this. The concept of Chassidus is to know as much Kabbalah as you need just to understand the concepts so that you can go live with them, not that you have to delve deep into all of the scientific aspects of it. So I want to show you quickly just a chart, a quick chart, just so that it's clear for you. Here, everybody look. Does everybody see this? On this side, you see the up and down. You see the up and down?
Yeah.
The up and down? Just up and down. Does everybody see that thing called Chochmah? Second one. Second highest one. Chochmah means wisdom, but in Kabbalah, it means the beginning of the revelation of godliness in a way that you can experience. Where does Chochmah come from? The pasuk says, Chochmah ma'ayin timatzeh. Chochmah comes from ayin. What's ayin mean? Nothingness. In Kabbalah, it's explained that the highest sphere, which is called Keter, or the crown, the highest source of godliness, which we can speak about, even though we know very little about, is this thing called Keter, Hashem's crown. In the language of Kabbalah, this Keter is called ayin, nothingness. Does anybody want to guess why Keter is called ayin, nothingness, besides Benjamin? That's the answer. Does anybody want to guess why Keter, the code word for Keter in the Torah, is called ayin, nothingness?
Nullify yourself. This is a perfect Kelly for Hashem's, like,
What does that have to do with nothingness, though?
you have to the degree that you nullify yourself.
These are things you learned. I'm just saying simple. Why would the highest thing be called nothing?
Because before creation, there was nothing. Because once you start to know, that's when you know nothing.
All these are things you've learned.
What about
You would think, what would be the highest thing in the world? No, not what you've learned here. Thank God you guys all got brainwashed in a good way. But I'm saying before that happened, what would you say is the highest thing in the world? To know.
Wisdom.
To know. To know. Chochmah. Shlomo Melech said, I learned and I knew everything. And it's still far from me. People think that was a lacking. He was saying, I reached a level of wisdom that I realized that I'm far from wisdom. That's the highest level of wisdom.
You mean let's get there?
Nothingness. Nothingness. Where does Chokhmah come from? Where does wisdom come from? I'll give you just a practical example in your life. When you say something, where are you saying it from? You're speaking, but where is the speech coming from? What's the motivation of the speech? From your mind. You're having a thought in your head. And after you've contemplated it, or if you're American, you haven't, you just started saying it. Okay. But for most of history, people used to think about whatever they're going to say, and then they said it. So you're thinking about it, and now I formulated a thought, and I say it. But before I even formulated a thought, where did that thought come from? Someone says, wow, that's an unbelievable thought you just had. You go, thank you. Where did that come from?
It depends on the level.
Someone needs to get him.
They have to, they're not trying it. Where does that thought come from? Where do thoughts pop into from your head? What is that called? Keter. You have a crown which surrounds your head, which is invisible. That is called your Or Makif. It is a light or a consciousness which surrounds your head, and it infuses your mind with thoughts. Your thoughts are coming from this place called ayin, nothingness. They just poof into your head. Like the Tanya says, like a lightning bolt. Boom, you just get a thought.
Is it the same keter Matan Torah we got? Is it the same keter?
Everything.
Is it negative thoughts also?
I'm not
It's different.
understanding.
No questions. I don't know, but I can't be busy with it.
Yeah, what about negative? No.
Just very simply, where do thoughts come from? They just pop into your head. You ever in Hippodadut and you ask Hashem a question and all of a sudden the thought just pops into your head? Where did that thought come from?
Is that an answer to your question?
Nothingness. That's called Hashem. Okay? Chokhmah comes from nothingness. Now I want to teach you a very deep chap. You want to hear something very, very deep? How did Moshe Rabbeinu have the schut to experience the entire revelation of godliness in the form of the Torah? Because we know the Zohar says that the Torah and Kutchabrichu are one. Meaning there is no difference between the Torah and Hashem. They're one thing. Hashem doesn't have knowledge. He is his knowledge. We have thoughts. We are not our thoughts. Hashem is his thoughts. Hashem is his Torah. Moshe revealed the entire Torah, meaning Moshe revealed Hashem completely. What allowed Moshe to do that? You would think it's because he was so smart. You would think it's because he was so charismatic. You would think it's because he had jangi, he had money. You would think it's because he was very good looking. You know the reason why Moshe was able to experience the entire Torah? Because he was anav me'od. Because he was the most humble man in the world. And as soon as a person becomes the most humble man in the world, you know what's revealed to him? The entire Torah. Because Chokhmah, the Torah, comes from ayin, comes from nothingness. Everybody with me right now? So now let's go back inside, where we see here that Rabbeinu teaches that when you come to the Talmid Chacham and you tell him all your deepest, darkest secrets, all of your challenges, all of your difficulties, all of your pains, all of your struggles, all of your errors in your life, and you open up and you say this, you're saying it to the one who's in the aspect of ayin. He's made himself like nothingness. Kamoshe Katuv. That chokhmah comes from ayin. So when you tell that person, that tzaddik, that Talmid Chacham, who's the concept of Moshe, everything that's going on with you, everything that has gone on with you, everything that's the deepest, deepest, deepest thing in your heart, you take those words and you lift them up to Keter. How do we start the whole Torah? We said that you have an ability to taste Olam Haba in Olam Hazeh, like Benjamin said this morning. That Rabbi Nachman says every Jew has the ability to actually experience Olam Haba while they're still in this world. He says, how are you able to do that? Only when you take the events in your life and you experience them all as the Ratzon of Hashem. I tripped. I don't see it as because I'm clumsy. I see that Hashem wanted me to trip. A girl breaks up with me, and I don't think it's because my parents ruined the whole thing. I see it's because it's Ratzon Hashem. I didn't get into college, not because I didn't have the right GPA, but because Hashem didn't want me to go there. I got married to the exact girl that I got married to, despite the fact that we have tremendous shalom bayit issues, and on paper, this looks like it was the worst decision in my life, because Hashem wanted me to, and it's the best thing for me. Where does all suffering come from? Rabbi Nachman says all suffering comes from one thing, not knowing it's from Hashem. And as soon as a Jew knows that whatever is taking place is from Hashem, all of his suffering leaves him. To the extent that Rabbi Akiva could be burned at the flesh, and everybody says, this was what it was all for. And he says, are you kidding me? This is the greatest moment of my life. I get to say Shema Yisrael right now.
He wanted to.
Great. You want to do that?
No. But he said he wanted.
Why? How did he get to that
Hashem,
point?
he wanted to
How?
give up his life
How?
for Hashem.
How?
Nothing.
When a person realizes that every single thing that takes place in his life, both good and seemingly bad, is only from Hashem, then you're tasting Olam Haba before you get there. Because what's revealed in Olam Haba, which is concealed in Olam Hazeh, that everything is from Hashem. Rabbi Nachman says the entire geshmak of Olam Haba is Todah. That the whole difference between here and there is there you're going to realize everything was for the good, and here you're suffering with your Nebuch life. But the entire gap between here and there is Todah. There you're going to recognize it was all for the good, and here you don't feel like that. Rabbi Nachman says you can actually taste that right now. If you take your words, the events of your life, your devarim, which we called malchut, which is the lowest revelation of godliness, which is called your self-identity, your yesh, and you bring it back up to Hashem, which is called ayin. How do you do that? You have to go through the one who has become ayin. In order to take all of your people, places, and things, all the events of your life, which have caused you so much trauma, so much hurt, so much pain, so much anger, so much confusion, and you're able to sweeten all of it. You need to take all of these things which appear separate, distanced, and you need to bring it all to oneness. How do you do that? You need to bring it to the one who has become one. His name is Tzaddik Yesod Olam, Moshe Rabbeinu. Because Moshe attained the state of ayin, nothingness, when you tell him everything that's in your heart, you're taking your words, meaning yourself, and you're allowing it to be elevated into the oneness of Hashem. Zebechina Zarka. The is Rikat La'ata, the it Natilat Mitaman. In Zohar, in Kabbalah, it's explained that there's different levels of understanding the Torah simply by the different levels of reading it. That you have the shapes of the letters, that you have the vowel points, that you have the cantillation notes, and you have the tamim, you have the crowns.
That tamim means cancellation notes.
Thank you. The tamim, and you have the crowns. These are corresponding, says the Arizal, to the four levels of understanding of Pshat, Drush, Remez, Sod. And a person who knows them well enough can learn out Torah from just understanding the depths of those things. The Tikkuni Zohar says, what's Zarka? Zarka is a note that David probably knows. Can you do a Zarka for us?
Zarka.
Okay, beautiful. And what does Zarka mean? Throw it. Yes, that you're throwing it. So the Tikkuni Zohar says Zarka is tshuva. What does it mean?
Throw it on Hashem.
You throw all your stuff to Hashem. And the Tikkuni Zohar says that's Zarka. 1 second.
We know to throw it.
Shekit b'vakasha. Throw it on Hashem. Stop talking to me. Zarka. The Tikkuni Zohar says, what does that no mean? It means you throw it back to the place from which it was taken. And it's explained there that when all of us Balei Tshuva, when we take all of our stuff, everything we've been through in our life, and we realize Hashem is real, and we try and come back to Hashem, the only way to get all the way back is to throw all of it to Hashem, to throw it to Hashem. Zarka. From the place from which it's disconnected. Meaning that you in your life feel like in my prior life of drug abuse, of porn addiction, club life, thug life, trap music. Maybe this is not past for you. Maybe this is present for you. I don't know. And we look at all of these things as like just putting it behind my window, and now I'm going to look and act like a certain way. But you're denying a very fundamental reality. And that is, Ein od milvado. There's nothing else besides Hashem. That means that everything that you've been through in your life, from the beginning until now, in this life, in past lives, even before creation, it's all from Hashem. Your ability to find peace in your life is to do Zarka, is to recognize and to throw it all back to Hashem. The abuse was from you. The trauma was from you. My parents not taking care of me was from you. My wife yelling at me every night is from you. My not getting into any schools is from you. My substance abuse is from you. My drug abuse is from you. My lack of self-esteem is from you. Everything is from Hashem. Why do we feel suffering? Because we think it just exists. But if you throw it back on Hashem and you give it to Him and you say to Hashem, I don't know what to do with this, but I recognize that this is all from you. Please, Hashem, heal me.
The person has a choice to do that. No?
Yes, yes.
So he chose to go
Again. One second. We're going to get to questions in a second. Just hold the questions. Listen to what he says. Shitachazir et malchut le'ein sof. That you're returning your malchut to the Ein Sof. Very simply, what's malchut? Your ego. Your sense of self, which you think exists in and of itself. That Mike thinks I am Mike, and I have my own world. And Benjamin thinks I'm Benjamin, I have my own world. Emil thinks I'm Emil, I have my own world. And David thinks the same thing. We're done with Zarka. Later. Everyone thinks they exist in and of themselves. And where is all our pain and suffering coming from?
In ourselves.
That thought. That I exist in and of myself. When do you start to sweeten your life? When you nullify that belief and you realize that you're part of a much greater reality than your limited self. And that's called your unlimited self, which is called the Keter, Hashem. The way that it's compared in Kabbalah is that you have a sun and a ray of a sun. The ray of the sun exists. Would anybody deny that the ray of the sun exists?
No.
It exists.
Right.
When you feel it, it feels good. You feel a ray of sun on you. You see it, ray of sun. It's a real thing. But if you track that ray all the way back to the sun, when you get to the sun, where is the ray?
Gone. Within the ray, within the sun.
But the ray's there, no? But you don't see the ray. Where'd it go? And this is a very deep thing. Rabbi Nachman says the sun is there to teach you that at the highest level of your soul, yourself, your ego ceases to exist. And this is the place of peace. And this is the place of truth. And this is the place of love. This is the place of unity. At the place where your selfhood becomes selfless. Moshe Rabbeinu was a Nav Me'od. What does it mean he was the most humble man who ever lived? He's the one who wrote that. He was so humble that when he wrote that, he didn't feel anything. Felt nothing. Just stating a fact. When he gave him the Torah, he said, this Torah is true. And I'm giving it to you. Moshe. And I'm writing my name over and over again. Hashem speaks to Moshe. Hashem speaks to Moshe. Hashem spoke. Moshe wrote that. How did Moshe write that if he's the most humble man who ever lived? We're supposed to keep everything a secret. The answer is Moshe didn't feel anything. Didn't feel anything. Imagine if you walked in and someone's like, oh my gosh, you just walked. Would you be like,
Yeah.
be like, yeah, and? That's how he felt. There's no distinction for him. What's the difference? Hashem gave him the whole Torah. He bring the revelation of godliness through Moshe. And for him, that's like you walking and someone say, hey, you're walking. How did he get to that point? He reached the state of ayin, nothingness. That's called keter. But we are called little malchuts. We are little cells. And each of us is struggling and suffering. Why? Because each of us is looking at ourselves as an island. Lahavdil, but in football, for anybody who lives in New York, so the way that it usually works here is if the Jets are good, then you're a fan of the Jets. And then when the Giants become good, you switch over to the Giants. And if anybody asks you when the Jets become good again, you say, no, I was always a Jets fan. But there was a cornerback on the Jets. His name was Darrell Revis. And they used to call him Revis Island. Why? Because he was the only cornerback in the league that you can literally put the fastest, strongest, most agile athlete in the entire world. And he was able to make him not do anything the whole game. You didn't have to double team. You didn't have to triple team. You didn't have to game plan. You said, Darrell, go ahead. You're on an island with him. They used to call him Revis Island because when you went to the island, you got swallowed up. That was it. But you know what happens when he gets burnt? How much shame comes from that? Because it's just him. There's nothing else going on. So when it doesn't work for him, everyone sees it. He's in more pain than anybody. There's no way to cover it up and blame it on anybody else. The pain of being on your own is that when things don't work out, it's the most painful thing in the world. But what happens when you're part of a team? You realize that you're not on an island and that you play a fundamental role and he plays a fundamental role and he plays a fundamental role. He's perfect in what he's doing as the linebacker, and he's the perfect cornerback, and he's the perfect defensive tackle. And if I tried to be 350 pounds and have a tush like this, I wouldn't be able to because Hashem didn't make me like that. I said, why are you like this? And you say, why are you like this? And we're all trying to make everybody else like everybody else. And in truth, you're all perfect just the way you are. But your perfection comes when you take your selfhood, your limitedness, and you make it unlimited. You are a little malchut, a little identity, and you need to bring it to the Ein Sof. Shehu ratzon shebechol ratzonot. So the way the Rabbi Nachman says like this, very deep. He says that you are a ratzon of Hashem. So I'll just give an example. Benjamin here. He's eating a buffalo wing. Nothingness. What is that wing? When you see a wing, you just see a physical entity. When Rabbi Nachman saw a buffalo wing, he saw a ratzon of Hashem. Because what is that buffalo wing? It is a physical manifestation of something that Hashem wanted to make into reality. How did Rabbi Nachman know that that's a fact? Because it exists.
Mhm.
And if it exists, Hashem must have willed it into existence, because everything that's in existence came from nothingness. Hashem.
So I'm eating nothing.
In essence, you're essentially eating nothingness. But at the level of our consciousness, you're eating somethingness. Everybody with me? I know this is a little deep.
Basically,
Yeah.
the whole world is nothing.
Yes.
We're all enod milvado. Everything's just Hashem.
Yes, at a higher level of existence. But at our level of existence, there's a lot of something going on.
It's something spicy.
It's a spicy meatball. So everything is a something down here. But when the Jewish people received the Torah at Har Sinai, what did it say? What did Rashi say about the Jewish people? Lev echad. One man with one heart. What does that mean? That all of our little rutzons, which we each are one rutzon, right? You're a rutzon. The way that you are is how Hashem created you. But when the tzaddik sees you, he doesn't just see you, he sees that you are a manifestation of one of the rutzons of Hashem. This is another rutzon of Hashem. This is another rutzon of Hashem. And he's busy trying to figure out why Hashem created that rutzon. Because if you can figure out why Hashem willed that into existence, you have a new revelation of God in your life. That's the whole purpose of your life. That instead of seeing people, places, and things as existences in and of themselves, you can mamish just take that thing and say, Ratzon Hashem.
Everything is Hashem.
Ratzon Hashem.
Will of Hashem.
This is what Hashem wanted to bring into reality at this very moment. And that means that what? Chochmah me'ayin to matzeh. That there's a chochmah in that Ratzon. There's a wisdom, there is a godliness which is hidden but the only way to tap into that is to nullify that physical thing by realizing it is a Ratzon of Hashem. But you can't understand Ratzon Hashem. But you can see that thing.
It's like a Tootsie Roll Pop.
How's like a Tootsie Roll Pop?
No one knows how many licks it takes.
You said one thing that's true, but there's no connection to it.
Everything's connected. Everything is nothing.
What you said was nothingness.
So we're not supposed to know the reason for what's in it.
We can't. It's not that we're not supposed to. We can't.
That's
A lot of people
why,
try to figure it out. Like, why,
And they're
why?
suffering.
that's why they're suffering.
That's why they're suffering.
Trying to figure it out.
Because they're trying to figure it out. Now, why is a person trying to figure out the Ratzon of Hashem?
Ego.
Because at a very subtle level, he believes that his little pea brain, which is like a little mashed potato, is capable of understanding what the creator of all of existence, and we're just looking at the physical world. Have you ever seen the physical world just like from an outside, like one of those telescopes? And you see
There's
like,
a video of a size comparison.
yeah, you just see all the, and you mamish, like your brain just starts exploding from seeing it.
It becomes
You
nothing.
go into bittul. That's the physical world. You know what the Zohar says about the physical world? It's the toenail of existence. All of this is the toenail of existence. You go up and up and up and up and up and up and up, and there's no end. And all of that is still created. And then you have Hashem, the one who's running all of it. And we're saying, Hashem, why you do this to me? Why you do this to me? Why are you doing
Why
this?
do you always make that accent?
Because I have certain students that I have to cater to speak in that dialect.
Indians?
2 for 1. That's a different accent.
No,
that's okay.
You're a great salesman.
Thank you. I'm also appearing very, very okay. So anyway, point is like this. Why is it that Rabbi Nachman and his followers are able to go through the same things as everyone else, and they're able to be happy while everybody else is miserable? But what, they don't have problems? They come home and their wife is like a malach. They come home and their kids are not giving them any problems. They're all wealthy. What is it?
Different viewpoint. You had a different viewpoint.
What's the different viewpoint?
Hashem involved.
You don't? We don't?
Is that not his level?
What's his level? There's no level. Everything is Ratzon Hashem. So what's the difference?
Your
Now, all the
understanding
time
of
we
how you understand
think
it,
like
how
that.
And what do you
perceive it.
understand?
Nothing.
Perfect.
You can't understand anything.
Because the Breslover Chassid is the only one who will willingly admit, I don't know anything.
Really, he's the only one who made that.
I don't know anything. Look, I'm a person who has dealt with multiple depressive episodes that led me getting electric shock therapy. I could sit there and say to myself, why in the world would you do that to me? And I've thought that.
It's a serious lecture on
But I remember once I heard a story that Rav Walken Shlita, who used to teach here, his neshama should have an aliyah, and I remember I heard this. And it's something that drove home something that Rabbi Nachman taught over and over and over again, which for the first time Hashem just let it hit. And I just started crying in my car from happiness. It was like 25 years of a bubble bursting, the best bubble bursting.
That's the greatest feeling ever.
And that was like this. He told the story of a midrash, where Rabbi Akiva and all of the martyrs of the Jewish people, meaning the greatest tzaddikim who ever lived, that they're all being sacrificed for the sake of the Jewish people. And it's like the most horrific story in the entire Torah. It's the most horrific story in the whole Torah. Mamish, and the whole Gemara and anything. It's horrific. It's horrifying. And it says a very deep thing in the Midrash. The Malachim were saying to Hashem, why are you doing this to Rabbi Akiva? He literally left everything in his life. He did tshuva like you never saw in your life. He became the tzaddik Yesod Olam. He has 24,000 students. We only have Moshe's Torah because he taught the oral Torah. He literally gave up everything for you, and he's dying the worst possible death. He's being flayed alive. He says, this is the end for a person like this? This is the geschmack of his whole life, that he gives up everything for you, and this is how it ends? And he says, and Hashem says to the Malach, shh, shtika, be quiet. I'm going to start the whole world over again. I'm going to start all over again. And what does the Midrash simply read as? Hashem is angry at them for speaking to him. But Rav Walken says, does that make sense? Hashem created something and then he gets upset when it says to him, why are you doing that? Doesn't make any sense. So Rav Walken said a very deep thing, and this moment blew my mind. He wasn't saying, shh, I'm going to start the whole world over again from anger. He was saying, be quiet. Because the only way for you to understand why what's happening is happening right now is you would have to know every single step of existence from the very beginning of existence, from even before creation. And you'd have to be with me every step of the way until right now. And only then could you possibly understand why this is the best possible thing that can happen. And unless you're able to do that, or you've done that, or you claim to have done that, you have no ability to understand how anything that I'm doing is good. And Rabbi Nachman says even more, that the shtika, the silence that he was telling him was not a punishment. The shtika was the highest level, silence. That the ability to access the highest level of understanding is through shutting off completely. Not speaking, not thinking, no nothing. Silent. And what hit me? That my whole life I've been trying to figure out why everything is the way that it is. And I won't give up on it. And then my rabbi said, where does that come from? Everybody said, so where does that come from? Why do we all want to know? Why do the Malachim want to know? And he says, Gava. I said, I was thinking, what do you mean, Gava? Where's the Gava? I just asked you, why is this happening? Because you think that you should have the capability to understand whatever Hashem understands. This is coming from very, very subtle, very, very deep arrogance. And I left the room and I went into my car and I just started crying hysterically. And I said, Hashem, I don't need to know. I don't need to understand. And it's okay. It's okay. And a klipa just exploded. A klipa mom has just exploded. Something that carried with me for 20 years, trying to understand everything. Everything. Why do I have to understand everything? Anybody have an answer to that?
Maybe the subtle part of it is because Hashem is everything. And since you're chelik of Hashem, you want to know the same. And that's the whole play of the Eitzadat.
Right. So now he says like this, each of you is a ratzon of Hashem. Ki ha-malchut shehu bechinat otiyot diburim. In Kabbalah, they explained that a ratzon is called a letter. And in Kabbalah, they explain that every letter is a specific ratzon. What does that mean? That means like this. Kol ot va'ot, every letter, everybody focus. Melubash ba ratzon. What is in that letter? What's in an aleph? What's in a bet? What's in a gimel? What is inherently in a letter of the Torah? Not Benny. Anybody want to guess? What do you know 100% when you get a letter in the Torah? That letter is the ratzon of Hashem. Why does an aleph look like an aleph, and why does a bet look like a bet? Why does a gimel look like a gimel and a dalet look like a dalet? Ratzon Hashem. So the ratzon of Hashem is enclosed within the physical letter, but there's a ratzon there. The aleph is one of Hashem's ratzons. The bet is another one of Hashem's ratzons. Is everybody following me? Sheratzon Hashem yiparach haya shezot ha'ot yeh la temuna kazo. And it's enclosed within the shape of the letter. The ratzon is enclosed in the shape of the letter. Va'ot acheret, and you go to another letter and you have another shape. Nimtza, consequently, all of the letters are all of Hashem's wills, all of Hashem's ratzons. He has one ratzon called an aleph. He has one ratzon called a bet. He has one ratzon called a Daniel. He has one ratzon called a Michael. We're all different ratzons of Hashem. In Kabbalah, they explain that at the level of Malchut, Malchut is made up of the 22 letters of the Torah. Malchut is the 22 letters of the Torah. 22 ratzons. This cake is another ratzon of Hashem. If you had eyes to see, you could see the ratzon of Hashem in that cake. Why that piece is brown, why that piece is like that, that piece is like that, that piece is like this. It's a ratzon. It's a ratzon. Why are all of our eyes brown and this guy's are blue? There's a ratzon. Hashem's ratzon is that he has blue eyes. And it's enclosed in the color of his eyes is Hashem's ratzon. Enclosed in the color of our eyes is Hashem's ratzon. This is exemplified by the letters of the Torah. Every single one of the letters of the Torah is another ratzon of Hashem. And what does Kabbalah teach? There's 600,000 letters in the Torah. There's 600,000 souls of the Jewish people. And each one of us is connected to another letter, meaning each one of us is another ratzon of Hashem, a different ratzon of Hashem. And we're all busy trying to make everybody else like us. And what are you denying? Hashem's ratzon. That you're trying to make your wife like you. Your wife's trying to make you like her. You're trying to make your friends think like you think. And your friends are trying to make you think like they think. And everyone is trying to bend your ratzon to their ratzon. And then what are you denying? Hashem's ratzon. Because Hashem desires for all of our different, unique ratzons.
Is it sex or wisdom the first one?
Not a question. Nimsa, consequently, all of these wills, meaning all the shapes of these letters, they are all revealing Hashem's kingship, his ratzon. And all of these ratzonot, where do they come from? Where do the 22 letters come from? Where does the revelation of every physical thing in the world come from? Where does the revelation of you, your individual self, come from? It all comes from one place, the Ein Sof. She'ein bo tamuna, in the place where there is no shape at all. Meaning that there is a level of reality in which all of us exist, but none of us exist. That's called the Ein Sof.
Nothingness.
Nothingness. Anybody want to go?
Go where? This is
Nowhere.
That was great.
I saw it coming. Nobody. He was a genius.
Come on, this is nothing.
I'm telling you, he's a genius.
The
People
joke
don't
of this class, by the way, and my claim to fame is when people say to me, someone says to me, David, what should I tell them that I'm learning in your classes?
Nothing.
Nothing. Nothing. Not yet. Not yet.
know. And then he
Not yet. Not yet. Wait. Nothing.
I
Stika.
say nothing in Hebrew.
Gloom.
Gloom.
Gloom. Nothing.
Gloom. Gloom.
Gloom. Nothing.
That's such a simple word in itself as well.
Nothing.
What about Shem
Hebrew
Davar?
in general.
You didn't learn anything here. Don't tell anybody you ever learned anything here. Nothing.
No.
Nothing.
Gloom.
What are you doing today? Nothing.
Bored.
Nobody.
Who's my rabbi?
If only they knew what they were talking about.
Who's my
Oh
Rabbi?
my gosh.
Rabbi, nothing.
Rabbi nothing. Rabbi nothing. Okay. So listen.
Kick my butt.
B'chol Davarim, and all the matters in our life, all of the words, all the people, places, and things, Vayeshut, and all of the egos that are in the world, they are the letters of the Torah. Because they are physical. They exist in a certain shape. Just like you have a certain shape and he has a certain shape. Everything has a certain shape in this physical world. It's made up of letters. Hainu mi malchut. This is the level of malchut, where there's physical existence and everything has its own separate reality and everyone's trying to exert their own malchut, my own ego. That when I tell a person that when he's married, he's not going to do what he wants, he's going to have to do what his wife wants. And he says, I ain't no babysitter.
It's not her. It's Rachel Hashem.
Why is he saying that? Because he was taught
That you only love them when they sleep.
because he was taught that the best thing in life is when those closest to you do your ratzon. Do what you want.
Is it really ego or wisdom?
It's all ego.
So what is secular wisdom? People teaching you
Ego.
As you grow up, you understand.
Ego.
All egoistic to the
All
man.
egotistical
So
max,
secular
and we've
wisdom.
never been more egotistical than in this generation. The Gemara says that in the final generation, it will be the greatest egoism that ever lived. To the extent that all the leaders of the world, how are you going to know it's time for Mashiach? When they're all brazen. When a guy's in the hospital and he comes outside with coronavirus and he's sitting in his cabin, he's got the whole thing going on.
Like Trump.
What is brazen?
He was
What?
Brazen?
Arrogant.
Arrogant?
Look at every leader in the world. That you have Kum Jong Zhao and he's sitting and he's saying, everyone is gonna do what I want. He's like this tall and this chubby.
But that's Trump.
No, that's a different leader. And then you have the leader of Russia,
Yeah, Trump's the only one.
who is claiming he has this third world detonation bomb, and everybody's in an arms race with him, with Russia. That every single leader of every people is living with the highest level of arrogance. I control the world. The world is going to bend to my will. What is that called? Malchut. Malchut. Malchut.
So rabbis are arrogant, right?
Ego.
What did you say?
Authority.
Are they arrogant people because they have some
But
power?
when you nullify your malchut to Hashem, you have a munah. You have
That
a
is a very good
Yeah, I
question.
didn't say it. You said it, Muskie. You always tried to.
No, we have a little bit more time.
Rabbis are arrogant because they have so much Torah to teach and stuff like that. It's like
I want to teach you a very deep thing. In Kabbalah, in Chassidut, they explain that the female aspect of reality has to be fully revealed at the end. What does that mean? I want to teach you something deep. For the letters to have been created, they need to go through a process. At the beginning of the process, there's infinite light. You don't see nothing. And then all of a sudden you see shapes of letters, but they're all in one glob.
Like you start seeing formation.
And then from that one glob, you start to see letters coming out, but it's still faint.
That's Matrix.
And all of a sudden you have final, revealed, complete, separate letters. So too history has to take place like this. That the beginning of history is nothingness. Tohu vavohu. Nothingness. And the end of history is the opposite. Yesh, 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 yesh. Everything is about you. Everyone is concerned with themselves. Everyone is busy trying to pursue self. I want to show you what myself looks like on social media. I want to take a picture. It's called a selfie. And I want to send my selfie, my letter, my tamuna, my letter to the whole world. This is what my overweight, unshapely body looks like. And send it across the globe.
I'm black.
And you get one like from one guy who lives in his grandma's basement in Spain. And you go, I had a good day.
Next.
Next, that's sweep. Facebook, Instagram, social media. You have radio shows. Every Twitter. Thank you.
Snapchat.
What Snapchat? What is everybody doing? This is what I think. 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 This is what I, who cares what you think? Who cares what you think?
All day.
Oh my gosh, all
day.
day, every day. I just wiped my
10:03 in the
10
bathroom.
likes.
Had a nice bathroom session, you know.
I just shifted my hair from left to right. Who cares?
You're nothing.
No. Why are we all doing that? So on a superficial level, they're going to tell you because we have technology now. But technology is actually a revelation of spirituality. What are we all trying to reveal? Ourselves. Why? Because the end of history is full revelation of self. Malchut. This is the female revelation of our soul. Yesh. Somethingness. We are in the state called complete somethingness. What's the reason that all the sages did not want to be in our generation?
Because they were bugging.
Why did they say, I can't wait for Mashiach to come, but I don't want to be there?
Because they thought it was virtually impossible.
Because we don't know who the Moshe is going to be.
No,
No, it's because there
Wait,
was
what?
so much yesh at this time that they're gonna just collapse.
because they understood that when Mashiach comes, he's going to come to a generation that has the greatest amount of yesh,
What's the issue?
ego, and his whole entire tafkid is to nullify the ego of all of reality. That he's going to make everyone realize that they're nothing. His whole entire thing.
You,
Yeah, Rabbi, we
you have
got
to
it.
tell yourself in your head every day.
How do we
put
do
yourself
it?
Down, put yourself down, put yourself
No,
down. So how
it's
do you
not.
get that ego?
No, a Zamra.
Everything's from you. Yeah, but isn't that you? You're supposed to work in yourself.
Again, we have to go at each thing at a time. The very simple thing is like this. Why is he called David Melech Yisrael Chai V'Kayam? Why is he called David, the king of Israel? Does anybody know?
Because
You said because or apikos? Because I've been called that also. I just got nervous for a second.
Because when Mashiach comes, we're all going to be living in the land of Israel.
Amen. B'ezrat Hashem. Soon. The reason is because of this. The Mashiach's come. He's going to come and he's going to tell you, I have the greatest news in the world for you. I have the answer to all your problems. You think you're something, but you're really nothing. Boom. And he leaves and he goes somewhere else and he does the same thing. Something, nothing. Something, nothing. But not that you're going to be upset. Not that you're going to be angry. It's going to be the happiest thing, the happiest moment of your life.
How did you know that he's going to be?
Why can't I get it from any rabbi?
You can right here.
Because you can only
What
get
is
it,
this?
because you can only get it from the one who achieved I in nothingness. because nobody else can teach you nothingness except for the one who attained it. And his name is Moshe. And this is the reason why the Zohar says that what was will be. That just like Moshe was the first redeemer, he's also going to be the final redeemer. Because there's nobody who can teach us nothingness except for the one who experienced and achieved nothingness. And this is the reason that when you go do tshuva to Hashem by the one who achieved nothingness, what you're doing is you're taking all of your somethingness and you're laying it all and you're taking it out of your heart and you're giving it to the one who has nothing. And he's taking it and he's transporting it up to ayin, to nothingness. And he is unifying all of your somethingness to all of your nothingness. And this is what allows you to experience Olam Haba and Olam Hazeh.
How do we get that?
Mashiach is Moshe.
Yes, for sure.
Wait, what? I don't understand if it was the reincarnation of King David.
It's both.
Now it's both.
A piece?
No, not now. It's both.
A piece or like
So it's
Like David is
explained.
reincarnated
It's
Moshe?
explained in Chassidut. He's going to look like David. He's going to sound like David. He's going to be charismatic like David. He's going to be able to speak like David. He's going to be able to gather everybody together like David. He's going to be able to go down into the darkness like David and lift everybody up.
okay.
But within him is the soul of Moshe Rabbeinu.
So it's
So he is on the outside going to have the highest degree of somethingness.
It's all encompassing.
He has
But his
nothing.
ability to become the Mashiach is his ability to take that somethingness and to tap into Moshe inside of him, his nothingness.
so how do we get to nothingness?
You have to go do tshuva, do vidui divine by the tzaddik.
So
Alright.
practically, for
So
us,
now
that means
practically I
going
have a
to
question
Uman.
for everybody.
That means going to Uman.
I have a question for everybody. We were not able to go to Uman for Rosh Hashanah this past
There
year.
we go.
Okay. I was in the middle of my Hibodadut
And you got
Today.
ruach.
and I prayed to Hashem. I said, Hashem, please, I just want to be close to you. I just want to be close to you. Please, Hashem. I know there are things that are stopping me,
First class.
and I know there are things that are stopping my students, and we all want to be so close to you. Please, Hashem, help us. And as soon as I did that, I got a call from my wife. And I don't have my phone on for nothing except for my wife.
Wait,
If she
what?
calls, if she texts me, I don't look. She knows. But if she calls me, I pick up in the middle of my Hibodadut. It's the only one. Okay. I said, hey, honey, how you doing? She said, David,
In the middle of the
in the middle of the Hibodadut.
you have no problem picking up the phone.
It's only her. It's,
Rosh
You can-
Hashanah
you can
Hashem,
interrupt.
that's
but
all.
she knows that I'm in my Hibodadut. It's only calling if it's an emergency, whatever.
Wow,
It's a whole situation, all set up.
smart.
Thank you. You have to be very, very tricky with your Yitzhahar. So you gotta buy it.
So Rosh Hashanah
You
Hashem.
gotta buy it.
Okay.
Look,
So
you can die of
I know. I just we got Gedalia Benster over here. Thank God. Who's coming soon to a theater near you? Is that the Shem
AMC
from
is
Miami,
opening up.
Florida? Gedalia
Okay.
Benster. Okay. And she said to me, I think you need on a vacation.
Wow. Mexico. Sorry.
I think you need to go somewhere for a weekend by yourself. You should know between us, my wife never has offered something like this to me in my whole life. So we have three kids now.
Take it.
Three kids in the middle of the COVID
I
virus.
think Abigail Cohen's
What-
like yesterday did her good. He
Where?
did the
No,
right
you don't understand. You're in the yesh. Go to the ayin. Go to the ayin. What is he to do? I'm taking all my davarim, all the events in my life, and I'm bringing it back to Hashem.
I think she wants a vacation.
1 second. Shh. You guys are stuck down here. Don't be stuck down here. What's he to do? To be alone with Hashem and to tell him everything that's going on in your life. You're doing this. Zarka, you're throwing everything back to ayin, nothingness. You're in a state of ayin, nothingness. Where does Chokhmah come from? Ayin, nothingness. Rabbi Nachman says every Jew, when he does an hour of Hibodadut every day, is going to experience Ruach HaKodesh. How does he get Chokhmah like that? To know what is the answer to his problem. Where does it come from? It comes from nothing. What's nothing? Boded, to be alone.
Literally.
Literally, alone with Hashem, nothing exists. Keter. And I said, I'm not sure. I have to think about it. 1 second. I got off my phone. I'm thinking. Oh my gosh. one weekend. She's saying this, you go here. And anybody who knows me knows that I don't want to go to Mexico anymore. It's not a vacation for me anymore.
That's what Catskill Mountains. Everybody.
It's
will
not
go.
a vacation for me to do anything
It's not spiritual.
besides something spiritual. For me, one second. Take it easy.
We make it spiritual.
And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, we all tried to go to Uman for Rosh Hashanah. We weren't able to go. There's one other time that Rabbeinu says is the best time to come for him.
Rick. That's all I'm thinking now. Rick.
And I was thinking to myself, how far away is this? Because my wife wants to give it to me now. A month from now, she may not want me to go on vacation. What's is within the month? Kislev. What's in Kislev? Hanukkah. When do Rabbeinu's followers go to him beside Uman for Rosh Hashanah? They go for Hanukkah. Which Hanukkah?
Which day?
Shabbat Hanukkah. Shabbat Hanukkah. What's Shabbat Hanukkah?
My grandma's yahrzeit. I really can't.
Shabbat Hanukkah. What's Shabbat Hanukkah? It's a weekend.
Yeah,
It's a weekend.
Rabbi, let's go.
So I have a question. We've been learning this Torah for
Who's
months.
down? I'm
Is
with
it
it.
the same?
We did, listen, we did everything to get to Uman for Rosh Hashanah.
Just go.
I want to throw it out right now. We still have an ability to Makayim this Torah in negative 40-degree weather
Negative
and the,
40.
freezing snow to be by the Tzaddik Yisod Olam.
No, I'm stuck in a go.
And it could be that because of the COVID and because it's the winter,
Nobody's gonna be there.
that you will actually be able to be right next to the tzaddik and do vidui.
I'm sure we're not the only ones thinking this.
You should know it's a very.
Think about it, just go.
No, I'm saying there's other people also want to go Hanukkah. Watch there be 60,000
I
people.
want to go for Hanukkah.
Women go too, only men.
I pray to Hashem. I said to Hashem, if you really want me to go, and you really want my students to come with me, then I'm gonna ask my wife if I could go for Shabbat Hanukkah. She's gonna say yes. And I asked her. She says, "Have fun, enjoy." So who wants to come with me? Because I'm going.
We're all going. We all have our tickets.
That's what I'm saying. Think about the chokhmah in it.
Are we
Maybe
going together?
Hashem wanted us to come for Hanukkah. Do you know that Rabbi Nachman says that there is something that's possible by praying on Hanukkah, by the light,
Negative 40 degrees. By the tzaddik, by the light. Wow.
by the hidden light, which is revealed on Hanukkah in the deepest way. And that's the reason I have a chokhmah. This is the reason why the whole secular world still keeps Hanukkah, even though they don't keep anything else. Because in Chassidut, it's taught that that light is revealed even to those who are furthest, who have no connection to Judaism whatsoever. In Hanukkah, you have ability to tap in. It's the only thing that stayed in Galut. It was the only thing that we kept, Hanukkah.
25th, right?
What day is that?
It's on the Friday.
Friday?
11th, yeah.
26th. Thursday.
Is Hanukkah.
No, December 11th.
Which day of Hanukkah is it?
That's a Friday.
Yeah, December 11th, not 5th.
That's the 25th. Is a
Oh, the 25th of yeah.
Friday.
Okay, yeah.
Wait, is it the 11th or the 25th?
11th of December. Yeah, 25th. 25th.
That's the first night, second night, third night?
That's the first thing.
The first night Hanukkah is what?
Shabbos
25th.
Hanukkah.
Thursday night, December 10th.
25th. word of-
Friday night is the first night?
Yes.
Okay, so I want to tell you something. You always go up. Oh no, it's Thursday night's the first night.
Okay, so
Why?
what?
It
The
says
next day is
25th.
the
Yeah,
Friday,
second night.
no?
Okay. So listen,
Thursday night?
there's a segula that Rabbeinu says that if you pray by the light in Hanukkah, from the deepest place you ever prayed in your whole life, you can get a miracle in any and every area of your life. I personally experienced this in my own life. I told you this story many times. I'm not going to go into it again right now. Mamish anes nifla, and I haven't revealed to everybody all of it, but I've said some of it.
What's bigger, Rosh Hashanah or Hanukkah?
They're different things. Hashem and Rabbeinu didn't want us by him for Rosh Hashanah. We need to find out now what the deal with COVID is.
Did
And
they change the government? New government now?
yeah, they're changing the government. I think they just ousted the last one.
Sunday.
No, it's not a 3-day trip. You're bugging, bro.
No, I'm saying.
So find out.
What does that mean? It takes you back to-
So one second.
No, they're just the
So
weekend.
before we end, and then you guys can ask your questions.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay.
That's it. It's gonna be like-
Before,
He's like,
I'm just inviting everybody.
No.
It's not over yet. if Hashem allows and the COVID is not preventing us and we don't need a secret document in which he possesses,
Is just men or women go there?
and we can just go. So
Women
we
go
already
this
paid
time
for our
too?
flights.
Women go in this time too, or just men?
Why are you interested?
No, I don't know. I
Wo-
thought it just
Women
men.
also go during Hanukkah, but I have a feeling in this Shabbat Hanukkah there's not going to be a lot of women going.
So I get a 40 degree.
No, because it's COVID.
Rabbi, I heard that, now,
Rick,
I heard,
My wife is there. I want to
Oh my
come
God,
too.
bro, you
somebody
gotta
told
go.
me that one time, if we
Rick,
didn't
bro,
have
you
to
need